Thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Speaker, federal administrative law judges, commonly known as ALJs, decide over 1 million cases a year, covering everything from appeals of Social Security, disability, and Medicare claims to disputes over black lung benefits and securities law violations. These are cases that can touch virtually all of our constituents. On July 10th, President Trump issued an executive order that will undermine the quality and independence of ALJs and the impartiality of the decisions they render. It does so by changing the hiring standards for judges. The current standards guarantee that ALJs are fully qualified to serve. The executive order will replace those standards with a far more lenient system that will allow ALJs to be hired based on ideology or cronyism rather than experience and competence. This executive order, entitled Exempting Administrative Law Judges from the Competitive Service, will open the door for the politicization of this profession that plays a defining role in the lives of millions of American families. Representatives Elijah Cummings, David Cicilline, John Larson, and I filed an amendment to defund the executive order and preserve the impartiality, independence, and competence of the administrative law judges. Unfortunately, the majority of the Rules Committee has refused to allow members to vote on or even discuss our amendment. The long-standing hiring standards for ALJs were designed to guarantee the legitimacy of their decisions. ALJs were required to have 7 years of trial-level experience as an attorney and successfully complete a 6-part examination. To insulate judicial decision-making from agency political pressure, the examination was conducted by the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, which maintained a list of highest-scoring applicants from which the agencies can then select their candidates. All of that was jettisoned by the President's executive order, which will remove ALJs from the competitive service. Now, the only requirement is that an ALJ must be a lawyer in good standing. This executive order is strongly opposed by a broad spectrum of organizations. The Federal Administrative Law Judge Conference, a nonpartisan voluntary professional organization, warns, now any agency that wants to hire an ALJ needs no approval from OPM and can hire an attorney regardless of skill or experience. The new appointment process will not afford members of the public the due process and fair hearings they deserve. Instead, it will give agency insiders and political loyalists a job for which they may not be qualified, but which they will feel indebted. The Association of Administrative Law Judges, which represents over 1,600 ALJs at the Social Security Administration, says that the President's order will politicize our courts, lead to cronyism, and replace independent, impartial adjudicators with those who will do the bidding of political appointees. The American Association for Justice writes, it is important for all cases overseen by ALJs to have a neutral ALJ handling the case, not someone who will be beholden to a particular political party, hostile to a particular agency or program, or otherwise politically motivated in their decision-making. The American Bar Association writes, by giving the agency head sole discretion to hire ALJs who may be making determinations affirming or overturning decisions rendered by that agency, the executive order has the potential to politicize the appointment process and interfere with the decisional independence of ALJs. The American Bar Association says further that nothing less than the integrity of the administrative judiciary is at issue here. That is why it is critical that members of Congress have an opportunity to participate in the debate and formulate a solution. The first step is to halt the implementation of the executive order. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to submit those letters from those 4 organizations for the record by unanimous consent.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, by refusing to allow this amendment to come to the floor, the majority has denied members the opportunity to have an important debate on this issue. Rather than avoiding the issue, the majority should be standing up for a just and impartial review process. Rather than refusing a vote on this amendment, the majority should be joining us in holding the administration to account. Mr. Speaker, I'm disappointed by the majority's opposition to considering this issue that affects so many constituents across the country. I therefore urge members to oppose the rule. I yield back.